All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Kakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and elders of the great millstone who rule well and teaching us this truth, 100% securely. And I'd like to give a salutation to the Akim and Akwak who are listening and studying to sort out for food. All right, so this is another quick lesson. This is an article, man, a quick news clip, and pretty much simping for a wicked woman, man. Basically, watch what it's gonna lead to you. You're gonna see what happened when you go out of your wit. As the scripture says, when many that be that go out of their wit for a woman and become a servant for her sake. Okay, and you go out of your way to try to be Captain Saver hoe for a wicked ass woman. Just watch what it leads you. And this is the clip that's gonna show you. Trying to go out of your way and doing things for a wicked woman, it basically leads to death every single time, no matter what. Okay, and if you had a true woman, a true righteous woman, she would not put you in that situation. Okay, she's gonna always want to do the right thing. All right, so without further ado, let's play this clip. We're gonna get into scriptures. Lord willing, us to be edified.
But after a little minute, he just stopped. He stopped moving.
New information tonight about a shooting at a Wendy's in southeast Memphis that left one man dead. The store's general manager has been officially charged with first-degree murder in this case.
We've also obtained shocking footage that shows the moment that deadly shot was fired. But we do need to warn you tonight, it is disturbing. Fox 13's Jack Billieu joins us live at Wendy's off of Winchester tonight. That's, in fact, where it all happened. Jack, why exactly did this happen?
Well, Darcy, according to court records, the GM was arguing with one of his female employees. Those records state that she wanted to leave early. Again, I want to warn you, this footage is disturbing, and we've edited out some of the most graphic moments. Cell phone video posted to social media shows the moment the deadly shot was fired. You can hear screaming, then the shooter stands over his fatally wounded victim and slaps him in the face. The victim died at the hospital. Memphis police say the shooter is Darrell Bowers, the general manager of the Wendy's. Court documents state Bowers was arguing with a female employee who wanted to leave early. He allegedly threatened to slap her, so she called a friend to pick her up. When that friend arrived, he and Bowers started fighting.
The person that got shot, he ended up swinging on the manager of the store, and the manager pulled out his gun and shot him. Well, he already had his gun in his hand, so.
The video shows Bowers walking towards the victim, gun in hand, before the victim throws a punch. A split second later, he fires a single shot. Our camera was rolling while Bowers was walked through the parking lot in cuffs.
That's honestly my first time seeing somebody get shot, so it's pretty shaking.
Well, the Wendy's franchise said in a statement it has a zero-tolerance policy for weapons at its stores. Bowers is set to be arraigned tomorrow morning. Darcy?
That is Fox 13's Jack Billieu reporting live tonight. Thank you, Jack.
All right, and so you see it, and according to reports, I believe what it said that the girl actually called a friend. All right, and 9 times out of 10, when you got a female that call you to go handle something or basically fight for her honor, don't go. Like anytime you gotta, especially if it's your baby mama or I don't care who it is, and she put you in a situation, put you in harm's way where you gotta go fight her in her honor. That's not the chick you want to be with, man. That's a wicked woman, okay? And every time you see a situation like this, it always leads to somebody end up basically unalive and. Somebody in jail every single time. It never fails, man. So, this is gonna be a quick lesson. Let's get Ecclesiastica, aka Sirach, chapter 25 and verse 24, right? Because it says, "Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die." Okay, and that's pretty much what you're gonna see. Every man that in that situation, they all gonna die. Like the manager, he more than likely he gonna be in prison for the rest of his life. Or he gonna serve some time because they gonna throw the books at him, right? And then you got the Jake. He basically 6 feet under because it was reported that he died in a hospital. Okay, and she the one called. Okay, and not to mention from the beginning, you seen it was a lot of things that were going on in this situation where why was it? What was the main reason why she wanted to go home early, right? Why she didn't want to finish her shift? Okay, it was a lot of things that went on that was not said in that report that we already know how wicked Eve really is, man. She could have been messing around with the manager, had some type of whatever the case might have been, for a manager to come out and have that type of animosity towards her wanting to leave early. It's something going on between them as well too. Okay, but the point is, as the scripture said, of the woman became the beginning of sin. Through her we all die, right? And that means I'm talking about a wicked woman, right? A righteous woman is not gonna put her man in a situation like that, or any individual in a situation like that. Okay, and so that's what you saw, man. When you saw that clip, you pretty much saw, a wicked woman's action at work. You seen her wicked, how wicked and diabolical it is. You seen how the result of her behavior what it caused, man. It leaves nothing but destruction. Okay, First Ezra chapter 4 and verse 21 or 26. Okay, I mean, really, when you read a lot of these scriptures, they give reference to a lot of the scriptures in the Old Testament. But when you read First Ezra chapter 4 and 26, okay, really this was going into a debate of King Darius at the time, and his bodyguards were having a debate. Okay, so when you go and you read up from the beginning, uh, so it was pretty much a debate on hold on, let's see where it's at. It's a lot. You bear with me for a minute, cause I'm trying to get the whole context is why it was basically a debate on why men do what they do and who they give it for, right? So one king, they was out having a debate on what make a man strong and so on and so forth. So like verse 3, and it said, but yet the king is more mighty, for he is the Lord of all things and has dominion over them. Okay. Let's see, let's go back a real quick. Right, so you go back to the previous chapter. That's where I wanted so you go back to the previous chapter. And second Ezra the third chapter. We get the proper context of reading first Ezra chapter 4 and 26. So like you bear with me for a minute. I think it's in verse. It says, now when King Darius reigned, he made a great feast unto all his subjects and unto all his household and unto all the princes of Media and Persia, and all the governors and captains and lieutenants were under him, from Judea unto Ethiopia, and 120 and 70 province. And when they had eaten and drunken and been satisfied and were gone home, then Darius the king went into his bedchamber and slept, and soon after awaked. And he said, then 3 young men that were of the guard that kept the king's body spake one to another. Okay, so this is where they was having a debate. And he said, let one of us speak a sentence, he that shall overcome, and whose sentence shall seem wiser than the other, unto him shall the king Darius give great gift and great things in a token of victory. So it was more like a debate and a bet, and whoever had the most wisest word, you know, and basically they all had their opinion. All right. And it says, as to be clothed in purple, to drink in the gold, and to sleep upon gold in the chariot with bridles of gold in a head tyree, and fine linen in the chains about his neck. And he shall sit next to Darius because of his wisdom, and shall be called Darius his cousin. And then everyone wrote in his sentence, sealed it, and laid it under King Darius his pillow, and said that when the king is risen, some will give him the writing, and of whose side the king and the three princes of Persia shall judge, that his sentence is the wiser, to him shall the victory be given, as was appointed. And it says the first wrote, wine is the strongest. Okay. The second wrote, king is the strongest. The third wrote, women are strongest, but above all things, truth bears away the victory. Okay. And so this was that debate between the guards of King Darius. All right. So get the proper context. All right. So like it for that, I had to, it's been a while since I read this verse. All right. But let's get First Ezra chapter 4 and 26. All right, to get the proper context of what's going on, and going back to the media, what happened in the media, right? And then one guard pretty much said, yeah, many that be have run out of their wits for women. So this is the third guard who basically said women are the strongest. Okay. And he said, yeah, many that be that run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sake. And in verse 27, it said, many also have perished, have erred in sin for women. Okay. And then verse 28, he said, now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all reason fear to touch him? Okay. Right. So this third guard pretty much had a point based on historical facts on basically giving a woman your strength. Okay. And as the scripture said, give not thy strength to a woman. All right. Especially a wicked woman. Really no woman at all. But the wicked woman is the worst one you can have. Okay. So let's get Proverbs chapter 7. Point would be in verse 23 or 22. We'll start at verse 21. All right. And it says, and really, in this verse right here, it goes to basically a woman that was married and she was stepping out on her husband. Okay, all right. So get the proper context of that. Just summarizing this chapter right here, Proverbs the 7th chapter and 21st verse, and it says, "With much fair speech she caused him to yield; with the flattering of her lips she forced him." Okay. Matter of fact, we read up a little bit. Right, so right here in Proverbs the 7th chapter, in the first verse, he said, "My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thy eye." Okay, and then jump down to verse 5, and he said, "They may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger, which flatters with her word." Okay, and jump down to verse 7. All right, and it said, "Behold, among the simple ones, I discern among the youth a young man void of understanding." Right, because this is what that Jake, who went out and tried to fight for the wicked woman's honor, he was void of understanding. He was that simple one that was void of understanding. Okay, verse 8, passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way of her house in the twilight and the evening, and in the black and dark night. And behold, there met a woman with the attire of a harlot and a subtle of heart. Okay. Now we jump down to verse 21, and it says, "In which much fair speech she caused him to yield; with the flattering of her lips she forced him. He goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stock, till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life." All right. And it said, "Knoweth not that it is for his life." All right. And that's exactly what happened when that old wicked Eve basically called him, okay? And when she called him, he basically went and to protect in her honor, and look where he at, all right? And he didn't know that that was gonna be the last time he was gonna, see the sun come up, all right? All because you want to, defend a wicked woman's honor, man. And cause we get a couple of more examples in the scriptures of men falling behind the honor of a wicked woman, man, falling for the snares and the trap. We even all the way go back from Eve, from Adam, okay, and then in this case right here, we go to Judge, the book of Judge, chapter 16, and verse 15. Get the proper context, which is basically Samson, okay, when Samson was with Delilah, okay. So you read this whole chapter, we know you should know the story of Delilah and Samson, okay? But Samson gave his strength to a woman right here, all right? In verse 16, we're starting in verse 15, all right? And it said, and she said unto him, how can thou say I love thee when thy heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times and had not told me wherein thy great strength lieth, okay? And this is what Samson gave up his strength. He gave up the secret to where his strength is. Okay, in verse 16, and it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her word and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart and said unto her, there has not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto Yahweh Shem Yahshua from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. Okay? And so we know when you read on, you know the whole story, and this is how the Palestine was able to bring Samson down. Okay? All because he trusted in a wicked woman, which is, her name was Delilah. Okay, another example is First King. Even King Solomon fell victim, First King chapter 11 in verse 1, we start at that, and it said, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughters of Pharaoh, women of the Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, and Sidonian, and Hittite, and of the nation concerning which the Lord Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their God. Solomon clave unto these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, with the Lord Yahweh his power, as was the heart of David his father. You see that? And so that's another example of going out of your wits for a wicked woman. Okay, and so we'll end this off with Ecclesiastica, aka Sirach, chapter 9, and point being verse 8 and 9. All right, and it says, turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another beauty, for many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman. For herewith love is kindled as fire. Sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thy arms, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, lest thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction. Okay? And a lot of times when you sleep, and there's another scripture when you read where it says, what was it, Proverbs chapter 25, or probably verse 5. Let's see what it says. No, let's try to Proverbs chapter 5. Bear with me for a minute. Into verse 6. Uh, yeah, this is it's Proverbs the 6th chapter. Yeah, to Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 34. That's the point I wanted to read, right? Because it says, "For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance." Okay, so when you read what we got to reading in Sirach the 9th chapter and chapter 9 and 9, where it says, "Sit not with another man's wife, unless it'll lead you to destruction." Okay, and here's the answer to that right here. Okay, because it said, "For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance." Okay, he will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. Okay, so no amount of pleading, money, anything will happen when you sit with another man's wife. Okay, so that's that destruction that it lead to, that you're gonna go to. Okay, and another thing that happened when we go back into this news clip is the dumb Jake swung at a man when he pretty much had a gun in his hand. Okay, and that was a dumb mistake on his part as well too. Okay, like when you go and if you happen to what he should have did was be like, hey man, you got it. You know that as the scripture say, man. Let's get this Matthew chapter 5. Cause that was a dumb mistake, and like he basically had a death wish, man. Okay, and normally when we read this scripture, we apply this to whenever you get pulled over by the cop. But it's the same case in this scenario too, because that guy had the upper hand. All right. So Matthew 5:25, and it said, "Agree with thine adversary quickly, while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison." Okay, but in the case in this situation, that Jake who swung on him, while he had a weapon in his hand, that was like the most dumbest, like, what, I mean, simping, boy, I tell you. That's why the first scripture that come to mind, like, of the woman came in the beginning of sin, man, because you had to be brave enough to, and basically stupid enough, really. That was just dumb. That ain't no shame in trying to walk away from a fight, man. That's all I can say. You live to see another day. You know, matter of fact, there's another scripture that coming right along with it. What is that? Keep thee far. It's the book of Sirach. Trying to remember exactly what chapter it is. Let's look it up real quick on Google. Was that keep thee far away from the man that have power to kill? So it was a lot of things that could have been avoided. Okay, okay, Sirach chapter 9 and verse 13. Let's go. I was just in that chapter. Ecclesiastic, aka Sirach chapter 9 and verse 13. Because it says, "Keep thee far from the man that hath power to kill." Okay? And that power was that manager who already had a weapon out. He had the power to kill. Okay? And it says, uh so shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. Okay, that man was in doubt. That's why he swung on him. All right, he put somewhere in his mind he felt like he wasn't gonna do nothing. Even though he pulled it out, he wasn't gonna pull the trigger. And it said, "If thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. Remember thou goest in the midst of snares, and that thou walkest upon the battlement of the city." You see that? And so that's pretty much what that Jake done, man. Like, it was dumb. It was it was wickedness on all front, you know, and no, and it's crazy how they didn't even mention the woman, okay, who basically caused this whole situation from the point where she wanted to leave work early, okay. If that was the case, why even show up to work in the first place? If you knew you wasn't gonna work your full shift, you should have just called in. You know, there's a lot of things that could have been avoided, right? But what she did is she led by her behavior, her wicked behavior. There's two men that's gone right there. One 6 feet under, one in prison for the rest of her life. Okay, and this is why we always say stay away from these, you know, these wicked ass women, especially these black women, man. They don't take accountability for shit. Okay, and trust me, I know I've been there and done that. Like, you know, I got a nephew right now going through the same bullshit. Okay, so. You know, yeah, that's the point right there, man. Lord willingness is edifying with that, and we give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash. I want to give double honor to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule well and teaching us the truth 100% securely. Shalom, Shalom, Kwam Yashavala, Shalom.